Hey family, Judge Joe Brown and I had conversations about Tyre Nichols, so I'm going to play that audio.
Due to some
as well
violent
as
content,
review
parental
current
discretion is
news
advised.
stories.
The state trial begins today for three former Memphis police officers accused in the Tyre Nichols. Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith have all pleaded not guilty to second-degree charges. Police video of Nichols after a 2023 traffic stop sparked protests across the country and increased calls for police reform in the U.S.
The source for this content is ABC News. Let's continue.
Let's bring in ABC News legal contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer. So, Brian, what are you watching for as opening statements get started today?
I just want to see what these three defense attorneys are going to put out there. Now, you highlighted that this is a state trial because the federal cases have already come and gone. The sentencing hasn't happened as yet. It's going to happen on the state case. But we only have three defendants who are on trial right now: Haley, Smith, and Bean. Martin and Mills, from our understanding from their defense attorneys, they at some point will change their plea from not guilty to guilty. So is Haley, Smith, and Bean going to point the finger at Martin and Mills? Is that the defense here? And of course, we saw a mixed bag of results from the federal case. So are we going to have the same thing here as well?
I forgot, just in case you need a refresher, let me play this.
Encounter with former members of the Memphis Police Department Scorpion Unit.
One of the main themes we continue to come up against while reviewing this footage revolves around the ex-Memphis police officers involved in Tyre Nichols contradicting each other on camera, especially when it comes to why they pulled him over and the degree to which Nichols allegedly resisted arrest.
He started fighting with us and took off, and he got and took off running. They did catch him. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Not Tyree.
This interaction between Tyre Nichols' mother, Rovon Wells, and former Memphis police officer Preston Hemphill is just some of the newly released footage from the night of her son's death after a traffic stop by the now disbanded MPD Scorpion Unit. MPD has said Nichols was initially pulled over for reckless driving. But here's what new camera footage shows.
What was the original stop for? PC, then evading the...
Well, you can't do evading in a vehicle. Isn't that what they...
Former officer Demetrius Haley had a different answer.
Yeah, he was driving in oncoming traffic. So we tried to, I'm talking about, he literally, yes, all this traffic. So we tried to get him stopped.
This is one of the calls into dispatch from officers pursuing Nichols.
Okay, you have any charges on him?
There's no answer. Haley also claims Nichols tried to attack him and tried to grab another officer's
gun. Took a swing, grabbed Martin gun. He had a whole grip on him. I'm talking about he grabbed him like this.
But this is how Officer Hemphill described his interaction with Nichols.
It was very polite while resisting. I'll give him credit.
What was he saying?
We're telling him, get on the ground. Okay, officers, I'm getting on the ground. What's one do? Okay, officers, whatever you say, and I do. He was politely resisting.
But it still cost Nichols his life. Now, the only reason this latest Tyre Nichols-related video was released is because a media coalition sued for its release last March, granting public access to the court's gag order in the criminal case against the 5 now former MPD officers. This new video comes out 1 year and 3 days after the city released the initial video footage.
The trial is taking place in Memphis, but the jury was taken from Hamilton County on the other side of the state. Why seat an out-of-town jury here, and how do you think that could impact things?
So the why is that the defense made a very strong argument, I think one that everyone can kind of understand, that no jury in this community would have seen that video and been able to give the defendants a fair and impartial trial. And so they sought the advice of both the defense and the prosecution and the judge to find an area where they can find what they believe to be a fair and impartial jury, and they've seated one today, and that's why they're beginning opening statements. Do I think it'll have an impact on the case? Yes, to some degree. As you pointed out in the opening, this case affected the entire country and probably even beyond that as well. So I think it alleviates some of the issues, but still people are going to know this case and have a deep impact of it.
Brian, all 3 men have already been found guilty of obstruction charges in the federal trial. So how is this state trial expected to be different from that one? And can the results of the federal trial impact the state trial?
So it will be different in the sense of it is the same action that they're accused of committing, or the violation of civil rights, but there are different charges as well as different elements to those charges when you compare the federal case. And when it comes to the federal case, it's not supposed to affect the state case. That's why you go through jury selection. That's why jurors are told to not listen to what they hear in the media, the news, and other previous cases, but to solely focus on the evidence presented to them in this case. So legally, it shouldn't affect, but people are people, and there could be some spillover into the state case.
So testimony continues, and I'm watching. But here's what Judge Joe Brown said when it first happened.
Democratic Party are trying to get an incident here in Memphis that's favorable to them, so they've got their shields out, putting stuff about there's going to be a disturbance. Come to this so you're tired of just protesting. Learn how to really do it. And they're having these workshops on how to create a disturbance around here. Knowledge that they should supposedly come to Memphis, and they've been coming here, and all kinds of happening. It looks like they're trying to set something up so they can keep control of this city, which looks like it's going to lose out because I'm going to win absent some kind of manipulation. So billions of dollars are on the table for these crooks, and they want to keep a hold of it.
Excellent, excellent. I got Judge on the phone, and I'm recording what you said. Can you repeat what you told me you wanted to talk about? The incident that occurred in Judge's neighborhood. You're welcome to start off by saying hello if you'd like to greet us.
Yeah, hi. How you doing there, Judge? How's it going today? Are you well? No, I'm fine. What are you hearing? I haven't heard anything. Oh, well, let me give you the exact report from Fox News and Memphis, whoever station in Fox News is. They are reporting that the police chief there, a woman named Cyrelli, or I forget her last name. She is saying that they're going to release they've already charged these 5 Memphis police officers in the. No, they haven't charged them. They fired. No, today they announced that they charged them. You know what? That's bullshit. They didn't even conduct an investigation in this crap. And what it is I've been here 50 years, and this is the fastest they've ever moved. And what the real deal is they're trying to cover for this new incompetent chief they brought in. We haven't had a chief of police here for 41 years. The chief is civil service and can't be removed except for misconduct. Mm-hmm. The thing is prior to that, we had directors of police who sat at the pleasure of the mayor. This termed out. This is the first time we've had term limitations. And he's trying to keep control. Now, the woman they brought in as chief a little more than a year ago was under investigation by a grand jury in Atlanta. When she resigned, they dropped the investigation. I remember that. Her name is Sarah Davis. Yeah, that's the same one here. She went to North Carolina, same situation. Memphis hired her while she's under investigation in North Carolina. They dropped the charges when she resigned. They bring her here. She's here 2 weeks, gets her stolen, and 3 weeks later, accused in crime. We've got a mass crime problem, but she doesn't know what to do with it. It's totally out of control. So what has happened is every one of these cops involved, all 5 of them are under 30. They're all in their 20s. Right. One allegation that one of them was angry because the was apparently his girlfriend. The is the first cousin to a who is chairwoman of the Young Democrats here, and I've tangled with her. She claims there's no need for women to be afraid. They can handle anything. They don't need men to do it. Okay. They've got 3 idiots who are owned that they are trying to push for mayor, in the position because of some before is nonpartisan. You can't have a primary for it. And they don't know what to do with me. There's also some stuff that I've gotten through my sources that say this was supposed to be a setup, but it went wrong and the kid. But the people who supposedly him are younger than he is. All right? Next thing, There's no training. They're supposed to get on-the-job training and use of force. You know, what kind of crap is that? What? So there's some heads that ought to roll in command and political authority. And they're trying to save face and sweep it under the rug. But no, it ain't going down that way. Ben Crump thinks he's going to get an easy settlement, but he's not. He's going to have to try it, and he's never tried a case. Let's see what he really knows. All right. You might want to get a load of what she said at her press conference, that she apparently is trying to calm the waters before the release of this video, which she says is particularly disturbing. Her and some other sources are saying it is worse than the Rodney King. What she said was, in her press conference, I believe on Wednesday, yesterday evening, the beating he received was, quote, heinous, reckless, and inhumane. This is not just a professional failing. This is a failing of basic humanity toward another individual. They failed our community, and they failed the Nichols family. That is beyond regrettable. All these other ones is white folks, somebody black, right? Yeah. And what is the trying to inflame this black on black? This is part of the massive black on black crime wave in Memphis. And see, you have some young folk, these cops included, who wanted to try to be in the forefront of stopping it. They were undercover. And what they're supposed to be doing out there is we've had a rash of crime that has put Memphis at the top of being the carjacking capital of the country. And women are getting chased down streets. They're having drag races in broad daylight down Main Street. They're going to intersections of main streets in broad daylight and burning rubber donuts, you know, in the middle of the street. And that's what they were supposed to be out there to stop. Now, there was a bad problem because they had no experienced supervision. So you got all of these rookie cops, 2 years are under on the force, and there are no supervising, no supervisors out there to keep them in check. All right? It's a command problem. I don't care what this dumb says. She's a as far as I'm concerned, first order of business when I get in is fire. So, I mean, a firing in a way, and I think I know what it's going to be, insubordination. Well, you ought to, now, I understand that Memphis police officers don't get primary training at the police academy on use of force, the use of force continuum. They did. Tennessee versus Garner or Graham versus Connor or any of that? No, none of that. They don't now. She decided to leave it on the job training. Yeah. And the other problem is they're hiring 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds who under Tennessee law can't even carry a to be, get this, apprentice cop. So you got to have somebody over 21 riding in a car with them, babysitting them. They haven't finished college. They don't write well, and they can't write a arrest report. And they're supposed to be training them on the job. Judge, I don't need to tell you that this appears to be a major defect in Tennessee law, not Memphis, city ordinance or whatever. This is a major defect. I mean, almost every state has a basic standard of curriculum and training for any police officer certified in any police department in the state. I mean, most states do. Yes, and they've deviated from it here, and the little that they brought in is too busy trying to keep her sleek figure and wear sexy dresses than she is with police work. The morale is zero. I mean, would there have been anything to prohibit her from giving a formalized use of force instruction in-house from the police department? Nothing. They aren't doing it. They don't even have anybody. But there wouldn't have been anything to prohibit them, though, would there? Yes. I mean, it's rich. See, that's what's going on here is it's a cover-up. Why in the you're the chief of police. You've been in there for a year. You don't know that your recruits are not getting force training? Good God. I find this hard to credit. Memphis is a major city, And Tennessee is a major state. I just find it incredible to think that they don't have a formalized curricula on use of force for guys. Especially after George Floyd. Say nothing about before George Floyd. I mean, you know, the United States Supreme Court, Tennessee versus Garner, of course, Graham versus Connor, they've established what are the, Fourth Amendment seizure provisions for police officers to effect an arrest or to stop an individual. And I'm really flabbergasted. I got to admit, Judge, I had no idea. So they got to figure to get untrained new cops on down. I'm sure that they want. See, Memphis has never really had one. Uh-huh. Well, I'm sure that the experienced cops picked this all up over the course of their careers. They're upset about it. Oh man, this is really a revelation. I mean, I'm shocked. 30-year-old cops on a stakeout situation trying to catch carjackers and reckless driving folk, and nobody's supervising them. And they haven't had use of force and had insufficient training. And most of it's on the job rather than in the academy. And how about field training officers? Do they have a field training officer program in the family? But they don't have any formal field training officers. What? Do they have a probation period? Is there a rookie period of anything? I have no idea. Nobody seems to know what the going on, including the chief of police. This is okay. I mean, I think I'm not usually the loss for words, Judge, but I'm afraid now I am. I don't know what to say about this. What's the matter with you? No force on, no use of force training. Get it in the field. I don't the last thing you want to be talking to field. Lord have mercy. Amen. Good God. Now this is something that I get training, and I'm a judge. Look, all I got to say is that even if the state would not establish a set of guidelines and criteria and qualifications, the city of Memphis should have done it on their own. They had one. What happened to it? You had incompetence at the top, all kinds of infighting and everything. The department was out of control. You had people who had an interest in getting out of control because they wanted to do some political capitalization on it. Are there any training requirements that are formal? I suppose, but they're also, see, they want a mess. One of the things that the local Democrats are trying to do is get Memphis exempted from the constitutional carry regulations that apply to the state. The good folk are saying, no, what's going on? But the woke folk are talking about, we got to cut out on the violence, which is part of, I think. They got this thing here where the DNC, Democratic National Committee, is trying to keep control of Memphis and keep it out of my hand. And they're going through all kinds of changes. Now, the truth of the matter is, I haven't been very public about it because actually, the way things are working, I'll have to okay the settlement. And the other thing, Ben Crump thinks he's going to get a big settlement. And 2-3 of the candidates for mayor have been talking to him about it. But that son of a nothing but an ambulance chick.
All right, guys, that's all the time I have. I've got to go to my other job, but please stay tuned for more updates. Please like, share, and support this channel. I love you. Talk later. Bye.